Hey, Mark Harbert here, and in this episode, I am super excited to bring to you somebody I have looked up to for a very long time. When I first got started in internet marketing back in 2008, I heard this gentleman do a training, and I was totally hooked. And let me tell you, it's just my respect for this gentleman over the years has grown so much because he has been just somebody who has a lot of longevity and is just loaded with wisdom when it comes to selling, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to network marketing, if you're in the network marketing space. And he's just gone on to have incredible, massive amounts of success. And again, somebody that I truly, truly have a deep respect for and really appreciate his contribution to entrepreneurship. And that is Cedrick Harris. And Cedrick and I really, so it was maybe a handful of years ago, we finally got to meet in person. And I honestly, it was kind of like a little celebrity moment for me because I just known of him for a while. And it was just a great, great honor for me to get to meet him, chat with him. And I was able to get him out and interview him just a few days ago and, have him share some of his lessons of success. Now, one of the things I know is that your success in your business is not tied to a strategy. Okay, a lot of people believe that if they learn the latest marketing strategy, that is their ticket to success. Now, don't get me wrong, having strategy is very important to your business, very important. However, if you don't have the right thinking, if you don't have the right philosophies that help you apply that strategy, you will not get the results that you're looking for. And I really wanted to pick Cedrick's brain because he has gone on to make multiple millions of dollars, and he's just been incredibly successful. And I'm excited for you to hear this. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into this interview and make sure you take the time to listen to this or watch it from beginning to end, because I promise you, you're going to get some major nuggets that are going to help you in a big way. Let's dive in. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I am so excited today to have on somebody who I just think is one of the most amazing people in the space that we have of internet marketing, network marketing, and somebody I've known for several years now, and someone I just have the deepest respect for, and someone who I've really looked up to in many years. A long time ago, probably well over 10, 12 years ago is when I first heard of this guy, and I just knew about him for many years. Got to meet him several years ago, face to face, finally. And it was kind of like meeting a celebrity for me because I had never met him before. But Cedrick Harris, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on, man.
Mark, it's a pleasure to be here, my brother. Always good to share a Zoom with you, share a podcast, share the stage. I feel the same way about you. You've been someone that I've watched come through the ranks of this internet marketing world, especially when it comes down to video content and really constantly putting out value, man. So it's a pleasure to be able to connect with you here again. And man, I'm ready to have some fun, man. All
right, let's do it. So I guess the first thing is, and it's always appropriate, I mean, just so people who may not know who you are, what's kind of your story? I know you have done a ton in network marketing. I mean, you have gone straight to the top of multiple companies in network marketing. I think, there's no question about it. You know what it takes to build and work with people. So what's your story? How did it kind of come about for you?
My story, very interesting. And Mark, I got to show you this video. I think you're going to love it, but I just created this documentary on this, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Interesting. So for the people that don't know me, I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia. My story is kind of interesting in a way that, when I was 18 years old, I was facing 10 years in the penitentiary with possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm while in possession of cocaine. And I was lucky enough to end up spending some time in jail. But I ended up in a boot camp program, and 42 of us went in that boot camp program, and only 12 of us came home, and the other 30 went to the penitentiary. Wow. So I walked out with these 3 felonies, spending time behind bars, and nobody wanted to really give me a job. And finally, a couple of people realized that I knew how to sell. So, I played with Excel Communications for a little while. That was my first network marketing company. Then I started dabbling, selling cars, selling food service. And then I ended up in the mortgage industry at the right time. So I joined the mortgage industry in 2001, ran that up from 2001 up until 2006, back when you bought a house at 9 o'clock and you sold it at 9:15. I started off as a loan officer, ended up being a a branch manager, and then ultimately they moved me to Florida to be president of marketing for the company. And I made about $5.5 million in that time frame. And when I left, I was psychologically unemployable.
Yeah.
You know, I saw the mortgage industry going south. This was the first housing bust in our lifetime anyway that I can remember. You know, and when I saw it going down, I kind of liken it to the scene from the Titanic. And I always tell people, you know, there's that scene in the Titanic where the boat is halfway underwater, and the people say they look at the band and say, "Play another song," and I'm like, "Dude, the boat is halfway underwater."
So this is 2008.
No, this was actually I left in 2006.
Oh wow! So you saw it coming.
I saw it right before. We had 28 offices. We went down to 11.
Yeah.
We had 1,100 loan officers. We went down to 65. And we had 2 call centers that had 600 people apiece, day shift and night shift, that ended up going down to 50 people apiece, day shift and night shift. So it was all these things that were just collapsing. And I'm like, the boat is halfway underwater.
Yeah.
This is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. I walked into my old boss's office, who is still my mentor to this day. And I said, "Bill, I love you, but I told you something years ago that I need to repeat." And he said, "What's that?" I said, "I don't work." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Work is something that you do when you would rather be doing something else."
Yeah.
I don't work. It's been fun. Now it's not fun anymore. It's depressing.
Yeah.
I gotta go. He was like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I kind of went fishing, Mark, for 6 months. I literally went fishing and traded stocks. That's all I did. And I realized that I wasn't a stock guy, because I would buy a stock at 9 o'clock and sell it at 9:30. I'm like, I'm not a stock guy. You know, and after I got bored, I said, the only thing I can do is do something that I can control my future. So I got back into network marketing. And the first company I got back in was Lightyear Alliance, and went to the top of the comp plan there. And then from Lightyear, we branched over to Carbon Copy Pro, made some noise in Carbon Copy Pro. Then Brian and Norbert and Todd linked up together with My Lead System Pro and branched over to My Lead System Pro and became the #1 earner in My Lead System Pro. And I remember that. Yeah, I was the only person in the history of My Lead System Pro that ever overrode the whole entire My Lead System Pro. Nobody ever did it after me. And it was so funny.
Awesome.
Because I remember David Wood. I love David Wood. I remember David Wood called me one day, was like, "I'm #1. I beat you. I beat you." And I'm like, well, I mean, you're a #1 on a leaderboard, but like, what matters is what happens on Friday. And he was like, "What do you think?" I mean, I'm happy for you, bro. You beat me. I'm happy because I get a piece of that too. You didn't sign me up. I override the whole system, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it up, David. I love you, bro.
Yeah.
So, you know, from there, we went through some transitions with different opportunities. And, you know, I've been blessed to be able to be a multiple 7-figure earner and quite a few different companies. Yeah. You know, I'm still in the industry. Obviously, I do a lot more coaching these days. I have some very, very large downlines in different places. I'm not in everybody's face as I used to be, because I'm very strategic in bringing in leaders. But, you know, I enjoy the training aspect. I enjoy the stage aspect. I enjoy the personal development aspect. And it's been something that has changed my life. So I'll always be in it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I that's where I first learned about you, was My Lead System Pro. You know, I got started back in, you know, when it first got going. And that's where I had heard about you. And that's where I, you know, got to know about you. And so, yeah. And I remember purchasing, you had a product come out. It was something about attraction marketing. I forget the name.
The 10K per month attraction marketing.
That's it. I own that. I bought that, man.
Yeah.
And I just remember. Yeah. So, no, it was awesome, man. And it's been so great to just kind of see you over the years and how you've evolved, you know. And you mentioned about personal development, and this is kind of a funny question I want to ask you, but you are unequivocally one of the best communicators I've ever seen. And I say unequivocally, so for those of you knowing, I've never heard anybody else use that word except Cedrick. So it's kind of branded to me. Because here's what I remember. I remember back in the early 2010s, you know, 2009-ish, 2010, and I came across a video of yours. And you were talking about an opportunity, gold and silver. And I just saw this video. And I remember watching you on this video. And I was so locked in, because it was like, this guy is one of the best communicators I've ever seen. And so my question is, how did you develop that communication style? I call it the Cedrick style, because you're very good at communicating. Is that something you developed through personal development, or?
Absolutely. I've had some great mentors, and I've got to back up because I always got to give credit where credit is due. That word unequivocally didn't come from me. It came from one of my first coaches, Jeffrey.
Oh, nice.
And I always like to look at that word, and I'm like, when you say that word, people are like, what are you talking about? It sound more important.
Yeah.
But from a communication standpoint, I've had some great mentors. I learned and understood personality types from a gentleman way back in the day named Greg Amerman. And I learned a lot from him. I spent a lot of time with Marshall Silver on some personal training, on a lot of different things. I spent a lot of time with Joe Bauer. I don't know of anybody from the stage, from communication, from closing that's better than Joe Bauer. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people. I've literally seen a lot of people. Yeah. So I learned a lot from Joe, and I've studied a lot of the best people. I spent a lot of time did a lot of personal coaching with Jerry Clark. Jerry Clark.
Amazing. Jerry Clark is just phenomenal.
Yep, he was one of Myron Golden's original mentors, and Myron is absolutely crushing it right now. Like
Myron is, I saw him 2 years ago and was totally pulled in by that guy.
Bro, Myron is on a whole different level right now. Yeah. He's absolutely crushing the world right now. Yeah. So it's just been some great mentors over that time, and really going through their audios, going through personal coaching, not being afraid of investing in myself, and trying to be the best version of myself, and doing a significant amount of reading. So it's not something that came naturally. It's something that came from doing a lot of studying.
Yeah. And I think that is such a key thing, especially when we're talking about entrepreneurship. I mean, I've heard it said before. I've probably heard you say it too. Your income your pocketbook never exceeds, where you're at mentally, personal development wise. I mean, you gotta work on yourself. And I think that is a huge part of where I found my success. And when I find that I'm maybe struggling on something, it's because I'm not developed enough in that area. Like I gotta, you know what I mean? I really gotta work on some mindset stuff, but that's just awesome. And I think that is very important for anybody that's listening, that you've got to expose yourself to good philosophy and good thinking, because I could say, go do this. And if you don't have the right idea or mentality behind it, it's not going to work. And I'm sure, you've worked with thousands of people over the years. You've seen the same thing.
It reverts right back. Yeah. I mean, everything will revert back to your lowest level of thinking. That's one thing I want everybody to get from this video or podcast with everything that you learn, especially when you're looking to increase your income, it's going to revert back to your lowest level of thinking. So if it's going to revert back to your lowest level of thinking, allow your lowest level of thinking to be a very high level. Yeah. Because if I reverted back to my lowest level of thinking when money would have got funny years ago, my lowest level of thinking would have been, well, let's go sell some white powder. Yeah. That was my lowest level of thinking. Yeah. Now it's, man, I don't have money issues, so I don't have to go through that anymore. Yeah. But if something were to happen, my lowest level of thinking is, let me create this product. Yeah. Let me do this. Let me do that. So it's different, because once you've got a following, once you've got a trust in people, they'll buy from you anything. They'll buy anything from you if they like you and they trust you, so you just got to always understand what that lowest level of thinking is.
Yeah. And I've even heard that lowest level of thinking called your default setting.
Yes.
It's like, changing that default setting. And I just wanted to point out too, and I think your story is so powerful, because it's one of those classic examples of your past doesn't equal your future.
Yes.
Just because you did something yesterday, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago that wasn't good, doesn't mean you can't, have an amazing future. So, the past is the past. We can't even change what we said 30 seconds ago, or done 30 seconds ago. So very, very powerful.
Mark, what's so funny about you saying that is that my life didn't change in network marketing until I really told that story. Yeah. And it was weird how it happened. It was literally weird, because I came from being the president of marketing for the largest VA mortgage lender in the nation before I branched full-time in the network marketing. So I came from success to creating success. And nobody wants to hear success to success.
Right.
And I remember being at a Breakthroughs to Success event with Jeffrey Combs, and there was about 50 people in the room.
Love him.
And it was like Jeffrey's a great guy. It was like a Narcotics Anonymous meeting for entrepreneurs. It was crazy. It was just all these confessions and this going on and that going on. And I was coaching with Jeffrey at the time, and I was traveling with him doing events. And he said, "Say, get in front of the room and tell everybody your story." And I said, "Yeah, well, I was in the mortgage industry, and I came from the mortgage industry, and I came in the network marketing." He was like, no, said, "Tell them the story." Yeah. And I'm like, "I was in the mortgage industry. I used to be a loan officer. Then I became the manager. Then I became the president of the company. And then I went into full-time in network marketing, had the top of the company." He was like, "No, tell them about the drugs. Tell them about going to jail. Tell them about the guns." And I'm like, I'm looking at Jeffrey in front of the room like, "Bro, why you dry snitching on me in front of everybody? Like, why you doing that?" He was like, "Say it, tell them the story." And I'm like, "Well, you already said it now." Yeah. So I took the next 30 minutes and I told everybody the story. Over the next week, Mark, 22 people out of the 50 plus that were in the room joined me in that gold and silver deal that you were talking about. 22. And I did not know any of them before that event. And I called up Jeffrey and I said, "Why are all these people joining me?" And he said, "Because you didn't talk about success to success." Yeah. Everybody loves a great comeback story. That's one of the reasons why Rocky, the movie Rocky, was such a great movie. People love
my favorite movie ever.
Yeah, they love a comeback story. So ever since then, I've been like 100% transparent. Yeah, I tell the story. Like when I send you this documentary video, you can be like, "Yeah, you transparent there." Yeah, like I'm just laying it out. It's like because people, you want people to be able to look at you and say, "If he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it." And that's the whole purpose for that.
Yeah, and I just love it, man. I love it. It's real, and we're in a day and time. People are craving authenticity more than ever. And when somebody can hear a story of somebody who had it rough and they were able to turn things around, they love that. It comes back to that Rocky scenario, People love that, and people can relate to that because they've been through the ringer themselves. Yep. And I think that's one of the most things. And that's when when I'm talking to people about, what they share and how they do it, even on social media, be willing to be a little vulnerable, be willing to put yourself out there a little bit. You'd be surprised. And the kind of response you'll get. So I wanted to ask you this question too, because this is a big deal. And I know, like I said, you've worked with thousands and thousands of people. And there's new people coming into the online marketing world, network marketing, all these different, entrepreneurial ventures. And my thing is for you, who's someone who's had massive amounts of success, and what would be your advice to somebody who's starting new? Because somebody who comes in who's maybe not, they haven't developed themselves from a personal development standpoint. They don't really have a lot of success, but they do have that little inner spark that they want to do something,
My first piece of advice would be to work harder on yourself than you do your business. Yep. Work harder on yourself than you do your business. A lot of people will work hard on their business, but they never evolve as a person. Yeah. So it's almost that old adage of, if you were broke and you become rich, but you were a butthole when you were broke, you're just going to be a bigger butthole when you're rich. Yeah. So it's like work harder on yourself. That's number one. Number two, I would tell people to use your friends and family as practice. Treat it as practice. Stop treating it as if they don't join, it's the end of the world. Right. No, use them as practice. And I always use the old example of when Allen Iverson was on ESPN and they were upset with him because he didn't come to practice. And he was like, "We talking about practice. We talking about practice. Like, do I show up at the game? We talking about practice." Now, if you flip that a little bit and you look at somebody like a Steph Curry's practice is so intense that there's more reporters at his practice than any other player. Yeah, they're watching him practice. He's shooting from the bleachers, and he's never going to shoot from the bleachers in the game, but he's practicing. Right. So think about the people that when you're first getting on board, or whether it's internet marketing or network marketing, remember that there has to be a lot of practice, and remember that A football player might play one game a week on Sunday, but they practice 5 to 6 days.
Right.
People come into our online space or network marketing space and they do the opposite.
Yeah.
They do the complete opposite. It's like, think about the practice. You got to practice. You got to practice on your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, the cat, the turtle, the dog. Practice, 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 practice. So when that real life prospect comes, that real life situation comes, that real life ad that you got to put together, whatever the case may be, now that you have practiced, now you're better off. And Michael Jordan said the best, you know, he was constantly shooting the ball in the dark.
Yeah.
Like he was shooting foul shots in the dark when he couldn't see the basket.
Yeah.
He couldn't see the basket because it was all about the rhythm. It wasn't about I had to see the basket. That's why he could shoot a ball in the game and just automatically start running back to the other side because his rhythm said it was going in. It was practice. So really get focused on that practice. Be so zoned in on that practice because practice doesn't make perfect.
Right.
A lot of people say practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great
perfect
point.
Practice.
Really great point. And you bring up Michael Jordan, man. Growing up, there was nobody I loved watching more. The dude was one of the most incredible players I've ever seen. And I remember going to I lived in Detroit, so I'd go see the Detroit Pistons and the Chicago Bulls play. And it was always a big deal seeing Michael. But, wasn't it his story? He got cut from his high school basketball team. That's how bad he was.
Absolutely. Yep.
And you get cut from the team and then you become one of the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. And all of that practice. And a lot of people, they don't see the behind the scenes, like you said, doing all that stuff. And that's, that is the best advice I think you can have for a new person is really just, if you want it, you got to be willing to put in the time. And I know for me, I didn't have my first 6-figure year until 12 years after I started down the path of entrepreneurship. And I'll tell you what, there was a lot of times during there that I wanted to quit. I'm sure, you had your times too. We all have that.
You don't want to quit. You're not doing it right. You're just not doing it because there's going to be some rough days. There's always going to be some rough days, but you got to barrel through it.
Yep, absolutely. So this is the final question. And I was like, when it comes to money, investing and things, I love watching your posts on Facebook. I think I said, going back to your communication style, I love how you use analogies. You put out one a couple weeks ago about, something's going to happen like a fat kid running to the buffet at Golden Corral on a Sunday. Dude, you have no idea. You couldn't see me, but I'm rolling here in my office. Like, that is the best, man. But, when it comes to that, you're somebody who's just so solid on that. And I was thinking, what are your top 3 books that you would recommend people read when it comes to becoming financially savvy? Because that is a big part of entrepreneurship as well. And believe me, there are a lot of people, and you've seen it. A lot of people have success. They make a lot of money, but they also lose it also. Mm-hmm. And I know I never really had a lot of financial education growing up. And, being an entrepreneur, I've made a lot of money, but, I haven't always been smart with it. And it's been a learning process for me. So, what's your take on that as far as like the 3 books you recommend for somebody to start on?
So good question. I would say that it's a slightly a trick question though. And here's why I would say it's slightly a trick question, because I would say that probably 60-70+% of the people that might be watching this or looking at the video or listening to the podcast, there's still some mental stuff that they got to fix first. Yeah. So I would like to bleed them both in. So number one, I would say is Think and Grow Rich. Definitely read Think and Grow Rich. Incredible book. Number 2, my second favorite book in the whole world behind the Bible is The Greatest Secret in the World by Og Mandino. That book will change your life, because it's one thing about making money. It's another thing about keeping it. Yes. And when entrepreneurs, we can blow money really quickly. It's like, I tell people all the time, I made my first $1 million when I was 27. I'll be 47 next month. So 20 years ago, I made my first $1 million. And literally my goal was to get rid of it. Yeah. And people were like, what do you mean? I said, by accident, mentally, my goal was to get rid of it. And 3 years later, I had like 400 grand.
Yeah.
And people was like, how did you get rid of it? Like, what do you mean? I said, listen, take somebody from the hood that grew up with nothing. And it's almost like when people say, how did Mike Tyson blow through $400 million? And I'm like, give you $400 million with no financial literacy.
Yeah.
Growing up in the hood, being around all these different people, burning money on this, burning money on that. You wake up one day and you're like, you know what? Rottweilers are cool, but I need like 2 white tigers in my backyard.
Yeah.
You know, these outfits are cool, but I'm only going to wear it one time. You start burning money and you don't understand. That's what happened with Mike Tyson. Lord knows I didn't take that financial advice because I've worn this shirt quite a few different times. Like, good luck with that one. But at the end of the day, I definitely getting your thought process right. So I would say, Think and Grow Rich, The Greatest Secret in the World by Og Mandino, and we'll be the third one. I would say. This one is a mixture of money and mind, but this one is dangerous. But I think people need it because it'll change your life. And it's the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Okay. I've never heard of that one,
brother. That book right there will change your mental.
Ooh, I'm going right to Amazon. I want to get off of this.
48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It's a very thick book. As a matter of fact, here, let me I'll show it to you. It's right here. I keep it handy.
Oh, nice.
This is how it looks.
Oh,
The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
I love it.
This book is this thick, but you want it this thick.
Yeah.
The stuff that's in this book, oh my goodness.
Change.
I mean, it's so good that 50 Cent did another version called The 50 Laws of Power.
Wow.
That's also cool, but 48 Laws of Power. Get that want to change your mindset.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that one. I've never even heard of it, so I'm definitely getting that one. That's for sure.
That's a good one.
But that's powerful, and I think one of the things I learned when I started making money was you had mentioned earlier about how money can turn you. If you're a butthole before you get money, you're going to be even bigger butthole when you get money. But that same principle applies to if you don't know how to handle money when you have no money. You're not going to be able to handle money when you get a lot of it either. It's the same type of thing. And I think that is definitely one area of entrepreneurship not a lot of people talk about. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's very important to hit on because, there's some truth to the fact of more money, more problems. You know what I mean?
Some.
Yeah, because you're just getting to a different level of problems you have to learn to deal with. And it takes that mindset in order to deal. That's why I think you see a lot of lottery winners who go broke. Mike Tyson, again, same thing,
The higher the levels, the higher the devils, and being that you brought it up, I think it's only fair that I say this, I think right now in 2022 and beyond, it's only going to get worse. And the reason why I say it's only going to get worse, because social media has created a lot of monsters. Social media has created people that are acting like they're somebody that they really aren't. Yeah. And they have to impress all these people that they don't even know. It's almost like, hey, you've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. You only know 17 of them, but you want to impress these people.
Right.
With your new $800 belt. Yeah. Your new $20,000 purse, your new $400 jeans, like the car that you really even can't afford. Like, why? What is the purpose of that? This is what has gotten so many people into trouble. And right now, Warren Buffett said it the best. When the tide goes out, you can always see who's naked. Yeah. When the tide goes out, you can always see who's naked. Now, guess what's happening right now? The tide is going out. Yeah. Crypto's down, stock market's down, interest rates are up, stagflation is here, inflation is here, job losses, all these different things that are happening. The tide is going out. So for years, the tide was in, everybody was covered because it was like, hey, this is 3% interest rate money. Like the feds was just, stimulus. It was all this. Now things are changing. I think that people have to be smart about how they're presenting themselves, how they're coming across. to other people, not thinking that, oh, I've got to buy this fancy car to impress this person.
Right.
You know, my old boss, he said something, man, that changed my life, Mark. I swear to you, because I'm a car freak. I like cars.
Yeah.
But I'm very strategic in the vehicles that I buy because I never buy cars that I can't make money off of.
Yeah.
I'm very strategic, and I never keep them for a long period of time. So if I'm going to buy a high-end car, I might keep it for a year and I get it off my blood. But once I sell it, I'm still going to make $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 off of it because of how I bought the car.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Florida, it was funny. I moved to Florida in 2004. At the time, my old boss was worth $400 million. And I was worth about $2 million. And he said, I had all these cars being delivered because he moved me to Florida. I had a great year. I was making great money with him, blah, blah, blah. He moved me to Florida. And I had an Acura 2.5 T. Let me see if I can remember all these cars. I had an Acura 2.5 TL. I had a Lexus IS 400. I had an Infiniti Q4 truck. I had a Mercedes CLK 320. I had a Mercedes E500, and I had a BMW M5. Right. So, and I'm moving from Virginia. That's a 12-hour drive. I'm driving one car. My ex-girlfriend is driving one car. One of my friends is driving one car, and the rest of them were being shipped. So the first shipment came, and they pull up the truck in front of my old office, and they're unloading my BMW M5. And my old boss, Bill, he came outside and he said, how many cars do you have? And I said, I got 7. And I just smiled. I said, I got a car for every day of the week. I'm like, there's Thursday. I'm smiling, right? He was like, you're dumb. I said, huh? He said, why do you have so many cars? I said, because I like cars, Bill. He says, no, you like the look that you get at the light when you got the newest car.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, ooh. You know how many cars I got? I said, how many cars you got, Bill? He said 2. He said, you know what else I got? I said, what's that? He says, I got $398 more million than you. And he turned around and walked into the building. It was like a zinger.
Oh, man. That's like a boom right between the
and I realized, I said, man, I grew up in Virginia where the only way that people knew you had money was through cars, jewelry, you know, clothes, just how you looked. In Florida, people that got money, they don't drive it.
Yeah.
Man, I went home. I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, hey, pick. And she was like, pick what? Pick what you want, because I'm going to sell 5 cars.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need them.
Yeah.
I'm like, car insurance, this, that. And he's right. He's right. I did like the look that I got, especially with that BMW M5, especially with that brand new E500, especially with that CLK 320, you know, everything with music in it, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So I tell that to all the people that are here, especially people that are younger, that think that I need to impress this person or impress that person. Listen, if you have to impress somebody with what you have, that probably isn't your people.
Yeah.
Because it's not about impressing them based upon what you have. You want to impress people on who you are, not what you have.
Yep.
Because I can show you a lot of people that don't have a lot of stuff, but you will be impressed by who they are.
Yes.
That's what's important, because material items, they come and go. And even though I still like cars, and even though I've got a couple of them, Lord knows I don't have 7 anymore. Yeah. But the reality of it is that it's something that I can afford, but it's also something that I don't look at as that gets out of hand now, because I only got 3 now. So three is good. I don't need 7. Yeah. You know, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm not overextending myself either. And I don't show my stuff. I'm not all on social media. Yeah. Look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. Like, I'm from VA. That's how you get robbed. Yeah. Like, we don't do that. Like, we don't do that. Like, we don't move like that. We just don't move like that. You know, so I hope some people really, you know, pick up some knowledge from that.
I think if people just can get what you're saying right there, it transform people, because I'm with you right there, man. I've heard it said one time, nothing feels as good as financial security feels, or something like that. It was something to that effect, you know, just that. But you're just nailing it. I think so many times we're so worried about impressing others that it's just not necessary. You know what I mean? Because honestly, they're thinking about themselves anyway.
Exactly.
That's really what it comes down to. Everybody speaks that language. What's in it for me? Like, and I think that's a big deal. So Man,
you know what comes in the head when you get older, Mark? The words paid off sound a whole lot better than
right? It
paid
sounds
off
amazing.
sounds better than brand new.
Yeah.
As you get older, paid off sounds so much better than brand new. I got a brand new XYZ. And how much is your car note? Ooh,
Yeah.
$1,000 a month, $1,500 a month for a car.
Yeah.
What? Are you tripping? Paid off sounds better than brand new all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you that. That's for sure. And it really is such a profound thing. But man, Seth, I can't even begin to tell you how much wisdom you've dropped here, man. And I hope those of you that are listening really take some of this to heart. And I'll tell you, like, I wanted to bring Cedrick out here because I know he's just so full of wisdom, and I've always respected you in a huge, huge way. And it's a real honor for me to have you out. And I want people to get out there and follow you. So, is there a place they can connect with you, or just see in general what you're doing? And
absolutely, you can follow me on TikTok at the real Said Said. You can check out my app at saidsaidunplug.com. You can check me out on Facebook under Cedrick Harris. You can check me out on Instagram under Said Said. We're all over the place. But
that's awesome.
I spend a lot of time on Facebook. I'm just getting my TikTok, cranking up right now, and Instagram cranking up, and we got plenty of YouTube content out there. So,
awesome.
we're out there. We're hanging around.
Yeah, absolutely. Get over there, follow Cedrick. You won't be sorry, man. It's I look forward to your updates, and I'm just so happy we're able to connect here and get on and share some wisdom. And if you ever want to get straight to Cedrick's heart, just tell him when you're in town, you'll take him to Waffle House, and man, he'll say yes.
Man. I am the cheapest date in the world.
Oh man. Well, I sure appreciate you, man. Thanks, brother, for coming out, and appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure, brother.